What's going on, guys? The Comics Kid 2099 here to talk to you about Ultimate Daredevil Elektra Volume 1. This is the only volume of the series. I don't know why they called it Volume 1. There is a follow-up miniseries that just focused on Elektra, but as far as Ultimate Daredevil Elektra, this was the only volume. This is by Greg Rucka and Salvador Larroca, and this is a 4-issue miniseries, but there is an issue of the early 2000s main Marvel Universe Daredevil series collected here. I did not read that issue. I was mostly just focusing on the Ultimate stuff. I've been going down the Ultimate Universe rabbit hole lately, and I didn't want to be confusing my Marvel Universes here when I'm talking about this. And this was relatively early in the Ultimate Universe. I don't remember exactly what year it came out, but this trade was printed in 2003, so this came out earlier than that. And I've been noticing, as I've been going through and talking about some of the stuff from the Ultimate Universe, that especially early on, there were two methods of building the Ultimate Universe. Early on, you basically only had Brian Michael Bendis and Mark Millar. And Bendis, he took, regardless of what I think of his style of writing, Bendis took the we're going to take things back to basics approach with Ultimate Spider-Man. Whereas Millar took the we're going to differentiate what's happening here in the Ultimate Universe with what's going on in the main Marvel Universe, and we're going to make things here much edgier and a lot more grim and gritty. And so the Blob is a cannibal, and then later on, it's hinted at in the Ultimates, and later on it's confirmed by Jeff Loeb, Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver are having sex, and it's trying to be more extreme than the main Marvel Universe. And this story is much more taking the Brian Michael Bendis, we're just going to get back to basics of what worked in the main Marvel Universe, and then tell a story around those basics in a new universe that's not being weighed down with 40 years of baggage. And so originally in the Frank Miller Daredevil, when Elektra was introduced, we find out that she was a college girlfriend of Matt Murdock. And in the main Marvel Universe, when we first see Daredevil in issue 1, we get a quick flashback showing everything from him being blinded all the way up to the present day where he's in Daredevil costume, and we do get like a couple of panels of him in college, but basically all of that have been skipped over in the main Marvel Universe. And so this story is saying, okay, Daredevil and Elektra met when they were in college, let's tell a story about that. And the story is basically, it's about them as people and how their relationship builds up and then, spoilers, falls apart. But it's also the tried and true story of two vigilantes arguing about how hard they should take their vigilante antics. If you saw the Netflix Daredevil series, there was an entire episode where Punisher and Daredevil are arguing about this. Daredevil is constantly breaking the law every night, but he has a code, and he feels like other people who are breaking the law should also abide by that code. And same here. You've got Daredevil, who is willing to do things that the police would not do, but he doesn't want to kill anyone. And then you have Elektra, who feels like she has no other options. There's this guy that she goes to college with. He rapes one of her friends, and then the police, they are starting to investigate it, and then they are told from on high, you need to drop this investigation. And so then Elektra goes and threatens this guy. She's not wearing a mask, and that's important. She goes to him and says, look, if you bother me or my friends again, I will come back and I will kill you. And so then he hires some guys he doesn't even know to go and burn her father's laundromat. And he was inside and could have died. And then, once again, the police drop the investigation. And then he goes after Elektra's friend again. But this time she's been taking self-defense lessons. She's able to fight him off. But then Elektra basically comes to the decision he is never going to stop. The police are never going to arrest this guy. I have to take matters into my own hands. And by this point, she's been dating Daredevil for about a year, and he finds out what she's up to, and he goes and tries to tell her, this is not the way. And it feels natural, it feels organic, it feels like two very real people in a very real scenario, and they both feel like they are in the right, and that the other one needs to bend and needs to not go down the direction that they are going. And it's great. I love it. And then you also have Daredevil, who he is dressing up in a costume. He does have a mask, and at one point, he figures out, okay, Trey. Trey is the guy who Elektra thinks is responsible for her father almost dying, and he goes up to her in costume and says, it's not him. I promise you it's not him, because he went into Trey's apartment, and he was like smelling the evidence, and then smelling the apartment, and he's like, no, it wasn't Trey. And then she tells him, yeah, he probably hired some people to do it. And so then Daredevil is able to track down the people that Trey hired. He beats them up a little bit, and they go to the police, but then then Trey's father goes to the police and says they were beaten into confessing about this. That is not going to hold up in court. And so what I like about this is that neither Elektra nor Daredevil is really right in the way that they're doing this. Yes, Elektra is right in that Trey is untouchable. The police try to go after him and it doesn't work, but she was wrong in the way that she went after Trey, because she goes after him without wearing a mask, and now he is able to go after her. And so it's stories like this. Anytime I hear someone say that secret identities are a thing of the past and that superheroes shouldn't bother with secret identities anymore, I want to point them to a story like this, where Elektra doesn't even bother concealing who she is, and then it comes back to bite her in a major way. And maybe if she had worn a mask and, like, you know, had something covering her mouth that muffled her voice a little bit, maybe Trey would suspect that it was her or her other friend. There's Elektra and then two of her friends. Maybe he would suspect that it's one of them, but he wouldn't know for sure. And maybe he would still go after Elektra's father, but there would still be that doubt of, was it Elektra who did this? And so I like that Daredevil here, he thinks that, you know, you don't need to kill this guy, there is a better way, and then he tries a better way. He tries to go and get these guys to confess to what they did, and then that doesn't really work, because he beat them up, and so you could beat anyone up, and then they would confess to something even if they didn't do it. So what I like about this is that it shows that neither Elektra nor Daredevil's methods are really perfect. And by the end of this, Elektra, she leaves her life as a college student, and then she goes somewhere. We don't know where yet, but later on, not too long after this miniseries, we see that she is working for the Kingpin in Ultimate Spider-Man. And while this does not show you how she comes to work for him, it does show you how she might think that that's her only option. She starts off at this miniseries as a normal college student, and then all these horrible things are happening. She's trying to set it right, and then nothing works, and she feels like the only option left to her is to kill this guy, and then she tries to kill the guy, and that doesn't work, and then she leaves her life. She realizes, I can't be Elektra Nachios' normal college student anymore. I have to go and do something else. And so it's been several years since I've read the Ultimate Elektra miniseries that's a follow-up to this. I think Greg Rucka also wrote that, and I think Salvador LaRocca did the art as well. I'll probably cover that one pretty soon, but I don't know exactly what's covered in that miniseries, but at the end of this, I could easily buy that Elektra, having a certain set of skills, would say to herself, I have no other options before me. I can't have a normal life. I almost killed a guy. That's all I'm good for now. And then she goes and works for the Kingpin and says, you know what, who cares? My life is over anyway. I could very easily see that being her line of thought. So I really like this miniseries. My only complaint is that it's way too short. I wish that it was longer. I wish we could have had more interactions with Daredevil and Elektra. Get to see more of them wrestling with, this is the direction that I have taken in my life. What is it that makes Ultimate Daredevil think that by day he is going to work within the confines of the law, and by night he's going to break the law? I'd love to see what led to his process there, because this really is more of an Elektra story than a Daredevil story. I would have loved to have seen even more of this. This was great, but I wanted more. So those are my thoughts on Ultimate Daredevil Elektra. I hope that you guys liked this video, and I will be back in the future with something else. In the meantime, have a great rest of the day. Catch you later.